Okay, so you became a pastor at what age?
At the age of 26.
At 26, okay. And you're a little bit older now?
Correct.
And not quite 2 decades later, have you formed some opinions and some thoughts on how politics should interact with the modern church experience?
Yeah, very good question, David. I think I think we've been sold short a little bit by some of our church leaders who have sort of tried to separate church from state. And I think your explanation of where that term came from and what it meant is an absolutely outstanding explanation of what that is. And I recommend your viewers to go back and watch that on your website. But I believe politics needs to be a part of a Christian's ethos. They need to know what's out there. They need to have a voice into our nation, and a voice that needs to be heard, rather than what I think a lot of Christians don't realize is every other voice is being heard. Every other ideology, every other belief system is making great inroads into the political realm. But for some reason, you're a Christian, don't speak. And so we think as Christians, oh, maybe I shouldn't speak. When really we actually need your voice to be incredibly articulate, to be incredibly loud, but respectful and honouring at the same time. Yep.
So true. If there's anything we can learn from the first few segments we've recorded today in discussion, it's that the worst of the worst of the worst ideas, terrorism, has mastered the use of their public voice.
Correct.
And presenting falsehoods and lies and violence and hate and getting them widely accepted and even popularised.
Yeah.
And we're late to the game.
We are. We really are. And I think a lot of Christians take that as, well, someone else will do it. We really need to have a voice into our political realm, political agenda. One of the greatest languages that has tried to stop Christianity has been language like bigoted, intolerant, homophobe. And so those sort of languages or words that have been spewed out about Christianity or Christians and that belief system has shut a lot of Christians down, only because no one wants to be a bigot, no one wants to be intolerant, no one wants to be a homophobe in any way, or an Islamophobe. And so Christians have taken that to mean, well, that must be me if I have a view other than what the popular view is of our nation. And so therefore I don't want to be labelled as that, so I'll keep my mouth shut. But that's not the case. That's an absolute lie.
Yeah. Martin Isles, our guest last week, said that we want to be liked.
Good point.
We want to be liked. And so we're largely unwilling to say things that are controversial. Truth is by nature exclusive of everything that's not true.
Yep.
That's not tolerant. That's exclusive.
Yes.
And Jesus didn't call us to be liked.
Yes, and if I can make mention of that word tolerant, the word tolerant is an extremely divisive word. It's not really a word that is inclusive of all people. One of the things that I love about Jesus' teachings was this: as exclusive as it was, Jesus still loved people without agreeing with them. And I think that's what Christians need to do. We need to learn how to love, respect, honour and care for people, but I don't have to agree with you. As a matter of fact, I can have a totally opposite view to you and be able to voice it, but still love and care and respect and honour you. That is very different to tolerance, because tolerance, by the picture that I see in the Western world is, tolerance is I will put up with you until you say something that I don't agree with, and then tolerance is out the door.
Yeah, that's true. That's our experience anyway.
Correct.
I have a lot of sympathy for the difficulty that it is, especially for the average pastor and the average Christian, to navigate political conversations, especially because that's not been our experience.
Yes.
We have retreated from the conversations. We're not practiced at having them. We don't know how to answer them.
Yep.
What do you think should be perhaps a wise way for the average pastor, the average small congregation, perhaps 100, 200 people, to help his congregation be better politically informed?
Yeah, very good.
What would you do?
I would do what I'm currently doing, which is reading, researching, understanding, talking to people. One of the things that Smith Wigglesworth said, about 100 years ago now, great evangelist, great minister of the gospel, but also a very learned and educated man in regards to the culture of his time. And he made the statement, you need to have a Bible in one hand and a newspaper in the other. Wow. And so you needed to know what was happening in the world to be able to address the things that are happening out there culturally that are relevant. And so instead of doing what can generally happen to Christians now, which is, if I could use, imagine there's a filter here, or there's life here, and I use the Word of God, the Bible, to view my life or the decisions I make through the Bible. Yeah. What can happen is pressure comes along, something happens, I don't know how to work things. Someone says, in the family that, I'm going to have an abortion, or I'm gay, or I'm all these sort of things. And so what we end up doing is we end up taking the Bible, putting it underneath life and filtering the Bible through life's experiences rather than the other way around. I understand why people can do that. I understand the heart behind that. I understand the love that we have for people, but Jesus never compromised like that. He was very clear on what he believed, but he loved people, and to the point of death. But while they were nailing the nails into his hands, he says, Father, forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. And so there is no doubt the ability. I would teach my congregation, big or small, that politics is not a no-go zone. Politics is a place that you can have very vibrant, great discussion, but you need to be learned. You need to research and read. You need to have an answer for why you believe what you believe. Yep. You don't need to be an academic. You don't need to be a theologian. You don't need to be a master's degree in X, Y, and Z. But have enough of an argument, have enough of a reason to be able to stand by why you believe what you believe in a loving, caring, respectful way.
And what kind of role do you think you would play in that information source for them? Would you just send them out to self-study, extracurricular homework in your own time, have a look at this? Or do you think there's any place for it in the year's pulpit calendar?
I think there needs to be, yes. I think there needs to be at least a direction, giving people a direction, where to look, what to watch out for, what are the pitfalls of surfing on the internet and reading articles from who knows where they're from, teaching and guiding those things. But there has to be a guiding factor to that. The guiding factor to that for us is the Bible. And so I'm reading with having the Bible as my filter in my belief system. That's my core belief system, is based on the Bible. And so therefore I need to research and read through that filter, not through a socialistic or social justice mindset that then skews me away from the Bible. And I think it feels better, and I think it's a lot nicer to think this way. And it's a love, and because we taint it, we paint whatever we. It's almost like this. It's almost like if we sugarcoat things with this word called love, it's easier to swallow. Yeah. But the love that Jesus talks about is a very different love than the world's media tells us is love. Yeah. No, it's good. I've got a little song in my head, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go very down. Yep. But I think in the case of what the information that the world is offering Christians, quite often it's a spoonful of sugar helps the poison go down. Yeah. And very good. Yeah, and that's obviously something to educate the people about. Would you address specific issues yourself from the pulpit ever, occasionally? I have done so multiple times. Okay. I've addressed homosexuality, I've addressed abortion, I've addressed different political ideologies that might be out there, again from a respectful, honouring and an educated format, and presented those to congregations around Australia, and done so because I believe the Christians need to know. Now, the greatest feedback from all of that, which is almost the saddest as well, is I did not know that. I wasn't aware of this. I would have made a different decision.
It is the greatest feedback.
It is,
and I think the sadness of that should be well known.
Yes,
it's maybe it's my perspective, and the reason why we're doing this show is because it's a common observation. There is so much I did not know.
Yes.
about
certain
issues.
topics. Now, can I also say that some of the other feedback that has come back have been Christians who have said, this has helped me be able to answer questions to my work colleagues when they ask me, why do I believe what I believe?
Fantastic.
That's probably the highlight of speaking about these things to Christians is you do have an answer. It's not blind faith.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, out of all of the ideologies and world belief systems, Christianity is the least of the blind faiths because of how it can be shown scientifically through reasoning. And with the onset of the internet and people like Ravi Zacharias and his ministry and various other apologists out there around the world, there's some great information to help you really understand and disseminate why you believe what you believe as a Christian.
So you've mentioned one name. He is a great source. I love listening to him, watching his videos and his Q&As. They're fantastic. In themselves, they're great for everybody.
Yes.
But is there any other tips you can give? Maybe there's a pastor watching who would like to start tackling some issues and helping his congregation be a bit more informed. How do you research for a topic that's difficult and potentially controversial?
Yeah, very good.
Any good sources that you'd point people to?
Yeah, look, I would, and I mentioned Ravi Zacharias and his team, so Nabil Karachi, John Lennox, which is a extremely intelligent professor, and various. His whole team is extremely good from the Ravi Zacharias International Ministry guys. Other sources is I would read certain things like other Christians in politics, Christians in science, Christians in various disciplines from around the world who have got the same views but are not afraid to look outside of their ideology and go, okay, let me consider certain things and question certain things. I love things being questioned. What I really enjoy about Jesus was he was never afraid from a question. He never pulled back from a question. And for people to say that Jesus was not political, it makes me laugh because they obviously didn't understand what the political environment was in Jesus' time. Yeah. If Jesus did anything, was he confronted the political realm very clearly.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
Very clearly. And
it's a common misconception. I just tear my hair out when people say that. It's like, read it again.
Very much so. And I think people who do say that are the ones who may have been affected or don't want to be I don't want to be political in the way that I speak. But what they don't realise is wherever there are people, there's politics. Wherever there's people, there's politics. Yeah. Politics doesn't necessarily mean Labor, Liberal, Greens, Nationals, so on and so forth. Yeah. Politics are people's agendas, belief systems, fears, apprehensions, misgivings, dreams of where I want to go and how I'm going to get there, good or bad. Yeah. And so wherever there's people, there's politics. And so you have to be able to have a reason for why you believe what you believe. And so if you don't have that, that's blind faith.
Yeah. Okay, so you raised an interesting point there, party politics or partisanship. What place do you think there is for endorsing a party or a candidate from the pulpit, if any?
Look, I understand leaders and pastors' reluctance to get up on a Sunday and say, right, this election, we're all voting for the Liberal Party. Yeah. Next election, we don't like what the Liberals did in the last 4 years, so we're going to vote for the Labor Party, or we're going to vote for Family First, or we're going to vote. I understand the ostracizing of certain congregation members to do that. It may even be seen as, well, you're trying to maneuver people. But I do believe that what leaders need to do is be able to remind people that there are certain belief systems that some parties have that don't align with the Bible. Scratch beneath the surface, other than looking at the promotional videos that you might see, and look at really what their policies are. For some of them, they're not that veiled. You just have to go to their front page of their website, read what their, deep down what their policies are, fourth point, and you go, well, that's not Christian. Exactly.
So you'd suggest that for you at least, the line of wisdom is to not promote particular candidates or parties, but to promote a deeper understanding of issues.
Yep.
The scriptures regarding issues and the biblical lens for viewing the issues that we face in society, and to empower the people to look into the details and decide for themselves.
Yes, correct. Now, that would be my prescription across the board on any decision that a Christian has to make. And so it shouldn't be different for politics. It should be across any any matter that a Christian faces, any topic that they face, that's how they should approach it.
I'd agree with that.
Politics shouldn't be any different. Yeah.
Yep. Now, just finally for this segment and the interview,
Sure.
How do you think, on an individual level, with or without a congregation or a pastor, but just you and me, John and Jane watching the show, what should they do? Perhaps in addition to what we've already suggested the pastor should be encouraging them to do. Is there any kind of other involvement they could be having between elections or at elections?
Yeah, very good question, Dave. And I think there's a lot that Christians can do and should do. Number one is be informed. There's nothing more frustrating than someone getting up to share an opinion. We've all seen them on TV, we've all seen them on the internet, sharing an uninformed opinion, uneducated opinion, based on just their preference. Yeah. Now, everyone can do that, and the first thing people do in social media is to cry, well, that's my social media wall, and I can say what I want. Great, but you sound infuriating and frustrating, right? And you're not convincing anyone.
Yep.
So be well informed. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you go to leaders who don't know how to answer the question, find some who do.
Yeah, good.
Right? That can do that. Don't use that as an excuse. So asking questions, number two. Number three, understand what the landscape of our nation or your local, state and federal part of our nation is doing. So your vote counts. So number one, please go out and vote.
Yeah, good.
Number two, vote informed. And look for arenas in our local area, in your local area, that can lend your voice or lend your voice to that cause in order to show that, yeah, there are people out there that believe that, you know. So if there is a rally or if there is can you please sign this in order to go to your local member, then take the 2 seconds to sign that, because most likely you've gone and filled out a ludicrous survey for something else that has nothing to do with anything because it was fun, but you won't go and spend 3 minutes putting a name and your postcode down and answering 2 questions to help with making a political decision in our realm. So there's definitely something you can do about those things, and I would recommend that. When I talk to people, when people ask me questions, I love being asked questions. When they do, and I've often done this where I've done live text Q&As where literally I will stand up on a platform and I'll ask people to throw a question up. It comes up on screen and I'll answer it as best as I can live. Not because I think I'm better than anyone else, but because I think I can offer something that would help Christians understand that you don't have to be afraid. That's probably one of the best things I love doing, is in regards to this topic, is showing Christians that it's not a blind faith, that you can be educated and well informed, especially with the information age we live now, and therefore have a very good answer and reason for what you believe, and share that in a loving and respecting manner.
Yeah, great. Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much for your
thank you for having me.
Your time today. It's been very insightful and eye-opening, and hopefully at the very least we'll be provoked to just chew a bit with what we're fed from the mainstream media before we swallow.
Yeah, very good.
If you're a partner of Church and State, stick around, because we've got a bonus segment coming up where we're going to talk to George Salloum about his decision to become a Christian and more details about his personal life and being a Christian Arab. And if you're not a partner, I invite you to head over to churchandstate.com.au now. You can become a partner from as little as $3 a month and help us to continue to be a free and independent voice to help all Christians be better informed and better involved in loving our society. And thanks for watching.